All right, let's talk crypto. The markets are absolutely buzzing right now, and you're probably hearing the phrase altcoin season everywhere. But what does that actually mean for you and your portfolio? Well, today we're going to break down a really clear framework for how to think about this, and it's all based on some great analysis from the Crypto Are Used channel. Let's get right into it. You can just feel the excitement in that quote, right? This isn't just a small bump in the market. The feeling out there is that we're seeing a major shift. A moment a lot of people in crypto have been waiting for. So what's really driving all of this energy? Okay, so the big catalyst here, the thing that's really lighting the fire, is a change in the bigger economic picture. The source points straight to the Federal Reserve, which seems to be softening its stance, becoming more dovish. Now, what that signals to the market is that interest rate cuts might be coming. And historically, that's like pouring fuel on riskier assets, like crypto. The markets absolutely love that kind of signal. And this all leads us right to the main event, this idea that we're heading into a brand new altcoin season. So let's unpack what that really means. In simple terms, an altcoin season is just when a whole lot of money starts shifting from Bitcoin into all the other cryptocurrencies, causing them to pop off and rise a lot faster. But here's the key metric the source points to as proof: Bitcoin's market dominance. Think of it like a pie chart of the entire crypto market. When Bitcoin's slice of that pie starts to shrink, like dropping to 58%, it's a huge sign that altcoins are gaining serious momentum. So, of course, this immediately creates a massive question for anyone who's already holding crypto, especially if you're holding the big one, Bitcoin. What's the right move? And here it is, the classic dilemma. You're sitting on your Bitcoin, your stable long-term hold, but you're seeing these other projects do crazy numbers, like 20, 30, 40% in a day. That temptation to sell some BTC and chase those massive gains, it is very, very real. So what's the play? Well, the advice here is pretty nuanced. The recommendation is a big no on making some massive shift out of Bitcoin. Why? Because Bitcoin's own run is likely far from over. But if your portfolio is super heavy in Bitcoin, we're talking over 90%, then yeah, maybe strategically trimming a little bit could make sense. But for most people, there's a much better option. Use your fresh cash, the money you're using for your regular investments, your dollar cost averaging, to buy into these altcoins instead of selling the Bitcoin you already have.
And that leads us perfectly to the next big question. If you're not selling your Bitcoin, but you've got some new capital you're ready to put to work, where on earth does it go? Right, this is the big one. You've got cash, you're ready to invest, but the market is a sea of thousands of different coins. How do you choose where to put your money without feeling completely overwhelmed? Luckily, the source lays out a really simple framework for this.
And here it is. It's called the 50-25-25 rule. It's a super simple but really powerful way to think about allocating your crypto investments. So let's look at how this rule breaks down. The core principle is that 50% of your entire crypto portfolio should just be Bitcoin. That's your foundation, your bedrock, your stability. Now, what about that other 50%? Well, that's where the real altcoin strategy kicks in. Okay, now we're going to zoom in on that other half of your portfolio, which is split into two very different 25% chunks. I want you to think about building your portfolio in 3 steps. Step 1, you lay down your solid foundation with Bitcoin. Step 2, you add the established market leaders. And then step 3, you sprinkle in some of those higher risk but higher potential growth opportunities. So that first 25% slice is dedicated to what the source calls big caps. These are the big dogs, the top-tier projects, usually the top 15 or 20 coins with a market cap of at least $8 billion. We're talking about names you know: Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Chainlink. The source says you probably can't go too wrong with most of these, but it specifically calls out Ethereum and Solana as its top picks in this category. Now for the final 25%. This is where you get to be a little more adventurous. This is where you can take on some more risk for potentially way higher rewards. The idea is to mix it up. You could look at critical infrastructure plays, things like the main decentralized exchanges or staking platforms that basically power the whole ecosystem. Then you might, and I mean might, allocate a very small slice to high-risk memes like Bonk and Whiff. Or you could explore other really promising projects that aren't quite in that top tier yet, like Avalanche or Hedera. This is such a critical concept to understand, especially for those infrastructure plays. The logic is simple. A rising tide lifts all boats. If you're bullish on a big blockchain like Solana or Ethereum and it's going up, then the essential tools built on top of it, like its biggest exchange, are almost certainly going to get carried up with it. Their success is tied together.
So, let's put it all together. The entire strategy boils down to this: a rock-solid 50% foundation in Bitcoin, a 25% slice dedicated to the established, big-cap altcoins for solid growth, and then a final, flexible 25% for you to explore more speculative plays. But honestly, the most important advice that wraps all of this together is this: you absolutely have to do your own research. This isn't just a shopping list, it's a framework to guide your own investigation.
And that really just leaves us with one final question for you to think about. When you look at your own portfolio through the lens of this 50-25-25 rule, what do you see? Does it challenge your current approach? Maybe confirm you're on the right track? It's definitely something worth thinking about as this market continues to heat up.